All right, we're live. All right, welcome back to another episode of the iFilmmaker podcast. My name is Ariel Martinez, and today we have a very special, experimental podcast. We have four people, including myself, on the show, and we're going to be talking about, hard drives and backups and all that stuff. But before that, let's go ahead and introduce some of our guests here. We have Mr. Cervatelli. Obviously, you all know Mr. Cervatelli, Jersey filmmaker.
What's up? I'm back. I missed a whole episode.
Yeah. He's been out of the loop on this one. So he's back. We have Fernando Gomez. We had Fernando last week's episode.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
And we have a first timer here, Mr. Josh Martin.
What's up, man?
It's your boy, Josh.
It's your boy.
So welcome, guys, to this first of many. And already on the chat, we have people joining in live. Brandon is surprised at so many people that we have here. So we're going to try to keep this relatively organized. But obviously, we all have our input on today's topic, which is a very good one. I actually got this idea by way of message on Instagram. So let's just get all that stuff out of the way. If you guys are watching this online and joining in live, that's great. If you're not, it's probably because you're not subscribed and you haven't gotten those notifications yet that we've gone live. So we're going to definitely want to try and do more live roundtable discussions like this on specific topics. And if you want to catch it live, ask your questions live. We're more than happy to answer them live. If you guys have heard the show before, you know that we've basically gone completely off topic sometimes because of what you guys have been sending over. So make sure you go over to the YouTube channel for the iFilmmaker podcast, get subscribed, receive those notifications. Also, don't forget, Jersey Filmmaker YouTube channel is up.
Struggling, dude. I'm so busy. Yeah. I've been barely putting anything up, but it's been I think it's the longest drought. I've gone almost 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I think I actually haven't only put one up in like a week and a half, but I made that episode the week before. So I haven't made an episode in almost 3 weeks because I've had so much other work going on, which is great. But like, man, do I feel like I'm behind on that. I got to get back on it.
I hate that feeling, man.
And I am getting killed. I did a ProRes RAW versus R3D files. I'm getting killed in the comments.
Oh my.
I don't know. You got to go read them, man. I mean, I'm sure I didn't do them right because I don't know Final Cut, but I'm excited to like revisit.
The funny thing is that I've been getting some, but see, that's the thing. I don't do reviews like that. All I have been posting is like the befores and afters. I know Josh has been getting killed as well. People have been commenting on his stuff. It's
funny
seem
to
have their own opinions. Yeah. People seem to have their own opinions. That's hilarious. Josh, do you want to talk about your channel also? I know you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is Joshua Martin Studios. It's a mixed bag of things right now. I do gear reviews. I do lens testing. I'm trying to put out more original content as well, short films, docs, but and now vlogs now. So the latest vlog is what we've done, what we did about 2 weeks ago, going out, shooting some ProRes RAW, doing some anamorphic stuff, just having fun. And actually, this has been the quickest I've gotten to 3,000 views, but also I have about like 20 dislikes on the thing. So you were like, "Whoa!" Yeah, it's crazy. Because like at first, like my title was like ProRes RAW, something, and people were, I guess they expected like it's going to be an in-depth thing about ProRes RAW, but we're like, no, it's just kind of like this. Checking it out and testing it. So I linked all the stuff to the file so they can use it, but people were like, this is not what I expected. I'm like, sorry.
Oh man, clickbait.
I'm getting killed with the technical stuff. They're all like, oh well, this, you didn't do this and this LUT and I keep getting something that people keep telling me there's a pre-applied LUT on S-Log footage, and it's funny because I didn't shoot in S-Log. So I love those comments when people are trying to kill me. They don't even know.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is why I'm a big believer in those disclaimers. Anytime I show anybody anything, it's how I work. Like, I don't care what you're either supposed to do or what other people do or what the majority of people do. This is how I work, and this is how I treat the footage. Granted, there are some easier ways to do this that I might just not know about. So, but that's what you got to put those disclaimers, man.
I did a whole bit. Somebody killed me for how long it was because I did a whole thing of, I was like, man, I'd have a ton of time. I just had this stuff in my possession for a couple of days. I shot it real quick. So this is just a quick thing to show you what it's capable of. And they still roasted me for how bad I did. I'm like, dude, I just wanted to show you how these highlights can be recovered. Like, I wasn't trying to go like way in depth here.
Is that the reason you've pretty much gone ghost on
No,
YouTube?
I've been so busy. I can't wait to do another one and like just reply to all that. But, not in a mean way. I just want to like come back and be like, look, this is what I got. I don't understand this comment. I understand this comment. Like one guy said I didn't put up the scopes and that would have helped. And that's a great point. I should have put up the scopes to see what was recovering. All right. But then again, guys are killing me for the pre-applied LUT that on the S-Log footage. I didn't use S-Log. So like, I mean, let me clarify some things here before everyone gets me.
Right. Yeah, jumped on you.
So funny. That's so funny,
that's what happens when we put out stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, when you put your stuff out there, you're subject to all that stuff.
Hey, look at Brandon. Brandon, Jersey's video was dope. He explained his situation. And I thought it was fine. That a boy. I love this guy. All right, thank you, man. Now I'm back. Now I'll come back on YouTube.
Said that I was walking like Terry Crews of the Expendables, right next to Josh in his video. That's so funny, man. All right, so today we have a good topic to talk about: hard drives, backups. I'm actually surprised we haven't done an episode like talking specifically about this, unless I can't remember of it, but I don't recall us doing that.
Someone's
and
gonna point it out in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. So I received a message. And I definitely want to cover that. I thought it was a really, really good one. So I guess one by one, we can start off by going over like our own methods of let's go ahead and start off with, after we're done shooting and we'll just go into one by one. After we're done shooting, how do we handle the footage? What drives do they go to? Do they get backed up? Do they go online? All that stuff. So Mr. Ceratelli, the veteran over here, let's go ahead and start with you. You're done with the shoot. Everything went well. You're putting your gear away. What happens with the footage afterwards?
Sure. I mean, if there's time on set, I'll get it back up as soon as I can. If it's something big enough that we're breaking down, I'll start backing stuff up on set. And if I have enough cards, I won't delete any of the cards. So that way, hopefully I have 2 copies before I'm even leaving, right? On the cards and on my hard drive. Then I'll get home and I'll back up a second time if I've already got one done. If not, I'll get home. I like to do it as soon as possible. Very rarely do I wait till the next day. I don't want to forget about anything in general, like just forget, right. Like I might have shot on this many cards and, I just get nervous. It's like, it is the job, right? If you could go through everything, if you lose a card, like you just lost everything. Those little things, these little things are it. This is the work.
That's my biggest fear, man.
So I try to do it as quick as possible. But I'm a little bit of a freak when it comes to like, once I start backing up, I have a RAID drive. So I run a RAID 5 system right here, like by my desk. So I have that. So that's technically backed up as well, right? So you have a copy on there and it can recover if anything fails. So if one of those 4 drives fails, it can rebuild. You should still have the information. That RAID is a whole nother.
Right. So how does just to be clear, a RAID works? And when you say if it fails, if you have 5 drives, you said a RAID 5, so it's a
4 drive. So RAID 5 is just there's RAID 0, 1, 5, 6, and 10, right? That's like I said, this is a whole nother thing. Yeah. But with a RAID 5 system, you need at least 4 drives. If you have 4 drives, 3 of them actually get used. So I have 20 terabytes, but only 15 terabytes of space. Right. That other 5 terabytes is used to rebuild. So like if anything goes wrong, they store what's called, I think like it's not partition, it's part of something with a P. It stores these extra bits of information so that if one of the drives fails, it can pull from the other 3 drives and rebuild your information.
And I think with RAID 5, I think you could have 2 of them fail at once and you'll still be okay.
RAID 6 is 2. I think you need is only one. RAID 5 is only one, but 6 is like the super backup or two of them. But now you need 5 drives and only 3 of them are, so it's like now you're spending more money. So and you lose, I think speed becomes an issue with RAID 6 too. The more drives the more it's writing to it, like there's all these different ways you can weigh it. If you want more speed or do you want more capacity, there's like, you can really decide what you want. Do you want more redundancy? So you can like pick between all those things, and there's pros and cons to each one. So I went with RAID 5 because it gave me enough space. The performance was good. And again, if one of them fails, it can rebuild. So back to our topic is I have my files on there. I have the footage on there. If one fails, I technically still have a backup, right? So if something went wrong, I have a backup that shouldn't be lost. So that's one. I'll store it on another separate drive that I put in a safe. And then I store on another drive that I keep at my office. And I won't do that every day, but I do that consistently, like once a month or something. I'll make sure all the drives are backed up. I'm just a freak with that. Like I said, this is the work. Like no matter how much, that's it. If that's gone, you're done. It's done. So I'm just a little nuts about that. And I like to keep them in a separate location, because if there's a fire or something, like it doesn't matter what kind of RAID it is, you're not getting it back.
Right. So, and do you edit off that RAID or?
I do. Yeah. I edit right off the RAID. It's all Thunderbolt and everything.
Did you say that speed was an issue?
No, no, RAID 6, it goes down. I'm not saying it's an issue, but like there's different speed
compared
deals.
To like RAID 0. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Like RAID 0 is just straight up. You're using both drives. It's splitting up the data, which is terrible. It's actually technically not even a RAID.
It's just one.
It's one drive, but it's splitting the info. So if your data is lost on one of them, it's done. It's gone because you lose half your data. But the speed's like a ton because it's using both drives.
Gotcha. All right, Josh, what's your process, man? You're done with the shoot. What do you do?
So right now, all I do is I shoot with a Panasonic GH5. I'll take the cards, and then I have 3 Lacy Porsche design drives. That's my current backup. So I'll date them, whatever date I shot on. Then if I shot images as well, I separate the 2 images and video. Put them on those drives, and then copy that and put it on my G-Tech 6 terabyte editing drive. That's a Thunderbolt 2 because I have an iMac 27-inch 2017 5K. So really, that's all I do right now. It's funny that we're talking about hard drives though, because I just got back from New York City 2 days ago, yesterday, and I come to start dumping stuff, and I'm almost out of space. I only have 280 gigs left on my my editing station and my backup drive. So I'm like, holy crap.
Wait, when you say and like all in total? That's all.
Yeah, because all in total. So
those are the only 2 drives you have.
No. So I have 3 drives. I have there are 4 terabyte Lacy drives. I have 3 of them. One's for photo, one's for video, and one's for emergency backup. So those 2 photo ones are backed up on the other one.
Yep. And
then I have just a working drive for all the current projects I'm working on, which is my G-Tech drive, and all of them are full, almost full. And so now it's like, okay, because I have been thinking about doing another, getting just a one of those housings to get the drives. Like you said, you have a housing, right, Anthony?
Yeah, like a RAID array.
It's a RAID. Yeah, it's all housed, like pre-housed.
Yeah, and so that's what I can afford right now too. So it's putting that money towards that system, so I can just swap out the drives rather than just having these independent drives right now. So. Yeah, It's probably not the safest, but that's the way I've kind of worked on it. And it's worked for me. I haven't lost anything, thank God. So, yeah.
All right. Mr. Fernando.
Yeah, man. I've had one Lacy D2 Thunderbolt 2 drive for years. I love Lacy and that D2 series, or the whole D series. I just got another one recently, so I have them daisy chained up. They're 4 terabytes each. I got the other one because the first one's starting to fill up, but I've had 2 backups of the original one going on for like a couple of years now, and now I bought a Seagate like 8 terabyte drive, like a regular USB drive, just to back up everything.
Those are good.
So I mean, I bought that because I think we were talking about it. I've been wanting to invest on a RAID array system, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to throw down this money right now, just because I'd rather upgrade my gear first. So I could just buy a regular hard drive and just start backing that up for the time being. But yeah, I've been the Lacy drives since they're daisy chained now. I'm not getting any more speed really, but they've been my working drives for like the longest time, and they've never failed me once. And then I back them up weekly to the 8 terabyte Seagate.
What does it mean for drives to be daisy chained?
Basically, so with Thunderbolt, okay, let's say this Lacy drive, right, has 2 Thunderbolt ports. I mean, you only really need one to hook up to the computer.
Sure.
But let's say your Thunderbolt ports on your computer they're all used up, right? I got my second Lacy drive, so I just hook it up to that.
Wow.
That one, and then that one goes out to the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then technically you could daisy chain up to like 6.
Really?
Yeah, that's the power of Thunderbolt.
I didn't know that Lacy had that on the drive.
Yeah, my RAID has 2 on the outside, so mine are all taken up on the computer. So if I have to plug in any like my Thunderbolt portable drive, that's where it goes into. So that's technically daisy chained. I don't look at it like I'm running a whole bunch through there, but that's just my port at this point. Yeah, it's accessible.
I only assume that definitely affects the speed, though, right?
I haven't.
It's got to.
I haven't noticed anything, to be honest.
I'd be surprised.
And I don't think it's supposed to. Really? I'm not really 100% on that.
Right.
But
yeah, I don't think it's supposed to
be enough bandwidth.
That's interesting, man.
Sorry, my connection's going wonky.
Yeah, it's going wonky. I'm like, what's going on?
I still got you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you all.
It's just like dropping quality. I have a question though.
Yeah, what's up?
So speaking of Lacy drives, Fernando, have you experienced where your drive will just kick itself off by itself?
Like go to sleep?
No. It will say like, because one of my drives, right now, one of my Lacy drives, if I'm transferring something, it will just say, you've improperly ejected your drive. I'm like, I haven't even touched it because it's transferring stuff, right?
Are you using a hub?
No, this is directly to the iMac.
That happens to me, but that happens on my USB because I have a USB port hub here, and that's where I have all my drives connected. Sometimes, man, and it's definitely got to be the hub. I have to get a new one. I'll connect something, and then something else gets disconnected just automatically.
Sheesh.
But I've never experienced that weird.
Yeah, I've never forums too, and they're saying how these drives, the Porsche design drives, they have one or two things. You got to update the firmware for them, which I did. Still had the trouble, or it's just that I had to send you guys the report, but it just thinks that it's going to sleep, and so it kicks itself off. I'm telling it not to go to sleep. You know, you have that option in your computer to turn off the drives when not working, but that's off. So it's still thinking that it's going to sleep, so it kicks itself off.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, yeah,
I've never experienced that. But I mean, to Ariel's point, yeah, if you're like, I mean, you said you weren't, but if you are, if you're gonna go that option with like a USB hub or something, just double check that it could be that hub that's just not. Is
it going through your Mac? You said you had 2017, right? So do you have USB-C?
I have a USB-C as well, but these drives are USB 3.0.
Right, so it could be the dongle. Yeah, it could be the dongle.
Yeah. No. I mean, there's 4 USB ports on this computer.
Oh, okay. And
it has 2 USB-C ports as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's going directly to the line. Yeah, so
I would try, and if you can, I would try to test out other drives and see if the same thing happens. But I'm sure
the other drive I have, my G-Tech, which is a USB-C, and I don't have any problems with that, with the connection.
Huh. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man.
So, Ariel, what do you do?
So I probably am probably the most unsafe person when it comes to drives and all that stuff, man. I think so to me, like in my head, and I know that this is definitely not the case. You know, after my shoot, that's where I have the biggest fear, like because I've had the issue before where and one of the biggest problems that happened to me where I actually lost one long footage at a seminar that I was shooting. It was like it was literally like a 3-hour recording, like nonstop on the FS5. And what happened was that I turned off the camera, right? But I didn't know because I've never witnessed this before. I just hit off on the camera and I immediately ejected, like physically ejected the SD card. And
it was still like buffering or something.
It was still writing onto the card.
Don't do that with your GH5, right? That thing takes forever to buffer.
Oh yeah.
We already figured that out. We already figured that. It was the card that was too slow. Yeah, so I got myself some Angel Bird SD cards, V90 this time. Expensive as heck, but it definitely fixed the issue. But yeah, I showed it to Josh and them and Fernando, and he saw it. It was like, man, this is crazy long.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was taking like 7 seconds to even write anything.
Yeah, no,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so after I'm done with the shoot, I have the footage. I get home, and man, and I know Anthony says that like he doesn't wait; he just backs it up right away. Sometimes I'll just dump the footage the next day. Whoever's listening to this, do not do that. Honestly, I'm a risk taker, I guess. I do not like. I'm not one to just get home and man, especially if it's like a 10-hour day shoot. Last thing I want to do is power on my computer and start dumping footage. But I have to start doing that. That's a horrible habit of mine. I've never had any problems, thank God. The next day I wake up, I know first thing I do is I dump the footage right away. And so, I mean, that's essentially what I do. So now, like, I'm working off of a Mac Pro Tower, right? It's an old one, but it's like a Frankenstein of a computer, what I call it.
The beast.
Yeah, it's a beast. So I actually have installed a couple of SD cards and
we lost your feed, dude. Yeah. It's all right. I'll take over. But no one can see us.
That's so funny. So no, I can still keep talking.
Yeah, keep going
while I fix this. But anyway, so what I do is I have installed a couple of SSDs in the actual tower, and basically I just edit off of those, but I dump the actual footage onto external drives. So I get those Seagates also that Fernando mentioned earlier. I get those for like 5 terabytes. It's like $120.
It's pretty cheap.
They're very cheap.
They are getting nice and cheap.
Yeah, so I just dump the raw footage there with a copy of my project, and then I continue working off of the SSDs. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of my workflow. And I just continue to dump as I'm done with projects. I just dump them all to those Seagate drives.
So I have this will answer. It kind of goes along with what you're saying, but this will answer someone's question too. Twisted Arc asked question of the day: one big drive or multiple smaller drives? So, I mean, this goes along with what you're saying, just what drives you dump them on. But I'll just go through my crazy setup back here. I must be crazy. After talking to you guys, I feel like I'm even more crazy. I've spent thousands. I've spent thousands on drives.
What you do is like my ideal setup.
Yeah, that's what I want to get at. I
just get nervous, man. People are paying me thousands of dollars. I just don't feel comfortable with a chance of it being lost. But anyways, so I have the 20 terabyte RAID system, right?
Nice.
Then I have an 8 gigabyte Porsche Lacey, and
sorry, I have the same one.
Yeah, I love that one. That thing's awesome. The 8 terabyte one. But the RAID is Lacey as well, just so you know. Then I have a bunch of Seagates as well. So I have 2 5 terabyte Seagates and an 8 terabyte Seagate, and I have individual like portable ones that for certain projects. But my point is, so the reason I have so many is I actually store, and I do the same thing though with this. Like I have these same copies like tucked away, but I keep here. I have all my projects since files were smaller back in the day from 2016 and prior are all on one drive. I have 2017 all on one drive, and I have 2018 all on drive, and I have them all on my computer, so I can access anytime I need to go back and access stuff. They're like readily available, so I keep them all separated. Every year I back them up, and then I tuck away, and then I just put another drive out here for what I need. Eventually, it's going to be a little ridiculous, and I got to figure that out. But right now, they just pile up back there, and it does get kind of hot. So I'm trying to figure that situation out, because when they stack up high enough, they kind of get the ones in the bottom get real hot. So I got to figure that out.
I've been a little spoiled at work since having, to your point, like stacking so many drives together, and even at home. I mean, I have 6 drives, like 3 old ones and my 3 current working ones, plus the backup. But at work, it's like, when you work for a corporation that has so much money, we have a 96 terabyte network system.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's like always backing up. And I found out recently that the thing is, once we delete something, we can't grab it back. It doesn't go to like a trash bin or anything. It just disappears. But we found out through our IT people that you can go back in and it keeps a copy of it back, like it copies back 48 hours. So if within 48 hours you can still recover that file, and I was like, this is the best thing in the world right now. And I've been like, and it's just one system in a room just there, and I'm like, I don't see a drive ever. So it's like, okay, like
that's nice.
Like that is
I may have missed this part. Is that a server that they have there?
It's a server. Yeah.
So can you access it offsite as well, or only on site? Like through
this particular
wired LAN.
We just don't have it set up that way.
Right.
Just myself and the 2 other editors we're just hardwired straight to it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you're going to be working on the projects right off of it, you couldn't do it wirelessly anyways. Like from home, that'd be impossible. But if it's wired in, I guess you can do them from there.
But the thing is, we have 2 servers. So sorry, we have our video server, which is the one we work off, and then since we work with like a team of graphic designers, and I do image retouching as well, we have an image server, and that image server is set up in a way that the designers and myself could access it remotely. So, which is the most frequently accessed one. So it's very different workflow, but
very cool.
Must be nice to work off of servers, where you don't have to worry about the storage management.
That's the idea. Like with the RAID system, it's like a mini server, right? So it's that's what. Now my ideal setup.
Does it use the computer's processor, or does that server have like a big old full-on processor where it uses that for the processing of all that stuff?
It has like a
larger drive.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it has its own dedicated computer that runs the server system.
Yeah.
Huh. I've heard that like in animation houses and editing houses, there's like one big processing server that it's dedicated just to do all the processing for all these animations and motion graphics and all that stuff.
Like the render farms. That's what
render farms. That's what it is.
Yeah. Those are
must be nice.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys.
What's up, Ben?
So what is your file management structure? How do you organize your files on your drives?
I've actually done a YouTube episode on that. If you'd like to watch it on Jersey,
we've actually done an entire episode on like file management and all that stuff. But essentially, like in a nutshell, it's like I make a different folder. Like, so I never have any files outside of a folder. If you go into any project, if we call a project, iFilmmaker or whatever, everything has its own folder. So the project files from Premiere, Audition files for audio. If I have any assets, like if I have any Foley that I got from a website, or if I have any stock footage that I'm using, that has its own folder. After Effects has its own folder. Obviously, the footage has its own folder, and within that folder has its own structure of the footage, depending on how I shot it. We go through all that stuff in the episode, and basically, there is no file. There is nothing that is outside of a folder. So everything is organized and labeled and categorized.
Now, do you guys use carbon copy when you're duplicating your work across drives?
I've heard of that. I can't remember what that's for.
There was
basically.
Did somebody pass by behind you or something?
No, because I have it on my board back here, something like my kind of wish list, and one of the things is Shot Put Pro, and I think Shot Put Pro is one of those things.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, like it's just cut. So once you create your, your structure and everything on one particular drive, and you want to mirror that exact one and have a constant backup when you're working on one drive, carbon copy, or what was the other?
Shot Put Pro.
Shot Put Pro, you can set up where it will go back into that drive, see what's new, and then copy it back over automatically.
Man, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to invest in that once I move to a more sophisticated.
I'm gonna look into that, man, because I'm always going there checking, like, okay, what's the date on this one? What's the date on this one? Okay, wait, am I moving it the right way? I don't want to mess this up. Oh, let me make a backup first and then move it. And now I got now I got to copy that backup, and it's like.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely going to have that.
For Mac. Hedge for Mac is something I've been wanting to get into.
Hedge as well, yeah.
To like copy and back up and go through that workflow. But Hedge for Mac is supposed to like literally see if you're copying over something. It literally tells you like, oh, if you have something duplicated already, like it'll tell you like, or it won't even copy. So it won't even tell you, okay, you want to overwrite? It'll just be like, no. If the timestamp is the same, it'll just be like, it'll completely skip it. Yeah, it's like it's got the proper checksum features, so it's like super protected copying.
Hedge
for Mac. Yeah. Hedge for Mac. Well, now I think it's called Hedge because I think they got it for Windows now. So yeah,
I heard about that. I think that
it's actually supposed to be even faster than
someone else's podcast has a promo code for that. If you want to try that out. I don't know if it's Ben Consoli's The Go Creative Show or is it his? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think he has a promo code if you want to go check that out.
That's sick. I'm gonna look into both of those. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I'm happy with my 50 something terabyte setup back here. I would love something to kind of keep track of it, so I don't have to man, it's such a time consumer, and I'm so anal about it that it like takes me even more time. I wish there was something that I've never really looked into them. I just know of Shot Put Pro. I've never heard of either of these, so I want to look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely look into Hedge for Mac. I've been, it's like everywhere now. Like I've been hearing about it. The guys at Cinema 5D are always like promoting that stuff too. So it's cool.
What do they know? I don't know.
I don't know anything, right? No.
So I think also in addition to the question that you had with regards to a little bit of big drives or a lot of little drives, what I used to do and what I think like especially for beginners that are just still getting into the whole industry, I still think it's an effective method of handling your footage. What I basically did was I would buy a new drive for every single project separately, and obviously that gets applied to the final invoice for my clients. And actually I do still do that, but I've already actually stopped because I too many little drives are piling up over here on my end. But what I've actually stopped doing is editing off of those little drives. So I still get the little drives, but I kind of already started reusing the ones that have already been backed up to the big drives. And so I'm reusing those and kind of leaving those as a safety net while I'm kind of editing. And I leave them in there until, I have so many that they've like, I started reusing them like a year and a half after I'm done using one of them, but it's a good practice. Like not a good practice. It's a good method, I think still, especially, if you're new, probably working off a laptop, just apply that to the things like an extra. You could add like an extra $60 or $70 to the invoice, and that'll definitely cover that drive. If you want to be safe,
I always charge for media, even if I'm not buying a drive. I'll charge for space because I'm storing on 3 drives. So like that's something I didn't do early on, and I've learned like
I don't delete anything really. So that's actually a good segue to actually a project that I kind of want to bring up. I did a project in collaboration with Fernando. It was a relatively big project that we had to do. It was a nightmare on the side of the client because they didn't know what they wanted. They asked us. They asked Fernando, were you there the day of the shoot? No, right?
No.
You were just helping me out in post. So they they asked for things. They kind of I after I gave them a director's treatment and all that stuff, I gave them exactly what I told them I'd give them. They weren't.
Oh, this was Fernando with you doing this?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've heard this story a few times.
Yeah. So it was it was very interesting because they ended up paying more than double what the original quote was just because we had to reshoot and re-edit and redo everything. But anyways, when I was collaborating with Fernando, obviously I had everything in my drive, and I was working off of, at that time, was the Seagate drives, the big like 8 terabyte Seagate drives. And then I needed to send, I brought Fernando on board because they were just requesting way too many things that were getting a little too complicated for me on the animation aspect. And what I had to do was, I forgot what was the reason that I had to take. Fernando said he had a drive, so I'm like, look, I don't know why I didn't have another drive with me, and they were requesting something fast. I don't know what happened. I literally had to take the only drive, the full-on 8 terabyte drive that I was working out of. This was so risky. This was so risky because I had other projects in there, a lot of things in there already. And I literally, everywhere I went with that, not only was it in my laptop bag, but I had both hands on my laptop bag, not letting that thing go until I got to his house. And we dumped everything on his drive. And I don't know how he ended up. I ended up getting another SSD to give him anyways. And the whole thing was just like the whole transferring of
swapping
files.
drives, and we kept each other's drives.
The reason why I had to take the whole thing was because I didn't have enough time to transfer everything.
That's right.
It was like 800 gigs of footage. It was a ton of footage, and I didn't have enough time to transfer it. So I'm like, forget this. I'm just going to take the whole drive. Yeah. And I was going to just dump it on one of my smaller drives. And I just took the whole drive. But obviously I was like extremely careful. And, I went with him. I went, and so that I brought an extra little drive so that he can keep it with that, with all that stuff.
Yeah.
But man, it was just so crazy. It was so crazy.
No, it was insane. I mean, plus, that I remember because we were like also on a tight deadline, and you were like, "There's no time. Take the footage, copy, go." It's like,
we had no time, man.
No, yeah, that was a bad one. But then to that point, like if you have to transfer, just like as a general note for anyone. I mean, I'm sure you guys, but anyone listening, just if you have to transfer your working drive, make sure you protect the crap out of that thing. Put it in a case. Buy a dedicated case for that thing.
Get a Pelican case with foam in it and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh man, I can't understand. Like
after Anthony, after we were done with Zion, we spent a good amount of time that night because we finished super late. But as tired as we were,
because I was leaving the next day or something.
Yeah, you were leaving the next morning.
So we tried to back up everything twice. I think we did. We were probably up till 2 or something. You had to drive home still.
Yeah, but we had to make sure that all that stuff got copied and everybody had. And mind you, this is 2 red cameras shooting all day. Yeah. So it was a ton of footage.
I mean, this will go right into an interesting topic of just like you guys are talking about sharing projects and sharing files. And we did it for Zion, and I do this all the time with my editor. And I'll set up 2 drives. I actually set up all of my drives the same, especially the ones I'm working off of. Like my RAID is called Jersey Filmmaker RAID. My drive that I travel with, if I'm working with it, is also Jersey Filmmaker RAID. They're exactly the same, so that if I I could just send a project file to my editor, and he can just bring that in, and everything's gonna link, right? So I don't name it like RAID 2 because then nothing's gonna work. So I keep them the same, So I have multiple drives. The only thing that's confusing is when you plug them in, sometimes you'll see the same name pop up. So like maybe I'll plug them in and rename it for transfers. So I know I'm pulling, you know, from the regular RAID to RAID 2. But then as soon as it's done, I take that 2 off and I put it back to the same name. So we did the same thing with Zion. Everything was labeled exactly the same. So if we had to send a project file back and forth, you know, when I sent you after the trailer, you had everything set up the way I had it. Like it's super easy.
Yeah. You definitely made it very easy for me to just open up and have everything there already done.
Yeah.
Even
then
even synced up the audio too.
Another thing the audio was an issue in that one. We had a lot of slow motion. Is
man. Dude, that slow mo. We have to make an entirely different episode on that.
Yeah.
I'm still obviously in the process of editing, and I've have now a difference of opinion when shooting slow motion. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a hard time.
Yeah,
such a hard time. But we'll talk about that in another episode. Maybe
I honestly don't even know how you line up audio if you captured it real speed and you have slow motion. I don't even know what to do. I don't know. I wouldn't.
No, so I guess in a nutshell, so you're talking about when the base frame rate is set to 24.
Yep.
But you're shooting at like, let's say 120.
Yep.
So it's playing back. What you're receiving is the footage already slowed down.
Right.
So my new thing is never do that again.
you change it to like 120 if you're shooting at 120, the base rate.
Right. So I just have the base rate match. Like I want it to play just like what I'm seeing, and I'll choose if I want to slow it down in post, because especially for documentary shooting, if you're shooting a commercial or something that is, you know, very structured, you already know what you want to do with it.
Yep.
But we were shooting like that, not knowing if we want, because I wanted to now, like when I was editing, I was hoping I could put it in real speed. But there's no audio.
But what's the difference? Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have no audio on the camera. That's an issue, right?
Yeah.
But if we did record external audio and tried to time code it and all that stuff, and I'm not saying that went smoothly, but but like if you do record at the base rate of 120, and then you're shooting the project in 120 or project rate 120, and then your frame rate's 120, you'll get the audio, right? But if we did like we did it, base project rate 24, and we shoot at 120. If we have the audio recorded externally and we sped up the footage to 500%, will that work?
I would assume so.
Right? But will the footage look different, or will it look the same as it would?
No. It'll look the same. It'll look the same. The problem is the syncing, because
no internal audio.
Yeah, we could have clapped it at the beginning.
Yeah.
But we stopped shooting, then we keep shooting. They never stopped recording audio.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing just got messed up, you know?
Yeah, that's where the time code get all
the whole time code thing is what really threw us off.
What type of audio were you trying to recover from that? Like on the slow-mo stuff?
Just like some of the skateboards, noises. Yeah. Right. So like, I mean, we could just go find them and put them in, but it was nice to.
What I'm doing now is I'm grabbing sounds from different clips, just listening to audio and just plugging them in where I think they sound right. You know, it's really what I have to do.
Like a true editor, man.
Oh my gosh! It's just much more time. It's just much more time consuming.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot of work, man. But so back to this project here. We're collaborating also on Frame.io, which I actually was really enjoying a lot.
I love Frame.io.
Have you guys, Josh, Fernando, used that before?
Nah. I want to.
So it's a really good system. Essentially, we can collaborate really well. Like I finish something and upload it there. He can see it, put some notes on there, make some marks on. Actually,
you can physically draw on the screen.
Physically draw on the video. Pause it, draw something, and make a note on that drawing.
And when you go to that note from the other end, it'll go directly to that time code and the note. And I mean, there's so many things you can do with it. I've now done a feature film documentary, and we were doing our thing, and I do a bunch of small edits, and it's amazing because you can get so many people on it, whether it's, you know, sound or editor or director or color, whatever. You can point out all these things. And what's really the best part to me about it is, if the way I work without that is I will export a copy, upload it to Vimeo, make it password protected, write an email, put that link in with the password. I mean, it's like, it takes forever, but with this, you can set it up within Premiere, which is, if everyone uses Premiere, I'm not sure what it does. I'm sure there's a Final Cut extension too, but
everybody uses Premiere.
You can just upload, you can literally click, you know, your in to out points or a whole timeline, click upload. It goes right to Frame.io. It alerts everybody that's involved. You don't have to do passwords. It's not public. Like, it's just like literally you click it and it's up. It's so nice.
So
awesome.
That sounds amazing. I need to check that out.
Amazing.
But I know Vimeo had rolled out a similar feature with their pro accounts.
It's not the same.
Have you used it? I haven't used it.
I see where Vimeo's trying to get to, and I think they're doing a good job. But they're definitely
review tools. Yeah, that's what they have now.
Yeah, they're trying to definitely tap into that market. And they're doing a good job. I like how now you can separate each upload by project, so I can make a different project within Vimeo, and I can, you know, call it iFilmmaker and upload videos there that I'm just doing for iFilmmaker and send it to the client for review or a sponsor for review, you know. And again, password protected and all that stuff, so that's pretty cool.
So this program you guys are talking about, it's a plugin within Premiere that you just...
It's actually an Adobe product. It's an Adobe product, and it's just an extension. It's not a plugin. It's an extension.
It's an extension. Got you.
So, I mean, you know, but still it pulls up in a window, and I have experienced a bug or two here and there, but like in general, it's been amazing to collaborate, man. It's so nice to be able to talk to everyone through that thing.
So does it have any like client features?
You can also send like what's called presentations. So you can set it up with different color borders if you want. You can make it password protected. You can make it expire. You can do all kinds of stuff, dude. It's really...
They can even mark up frames and everything, right?
Yeah, they can send you back notes, and the same thing. You'll get the notification. It's also an app, so you get the notifications on your phone. So like, I'll just be out and about, and I'll see, oh, the director made a note, and I can go right to it. It's so cool. It's really, it's very valuable, man. And I mean, you get up to 2 gigabytes for free. So if you're doing smaller projects, and I don't upload the footage up there. It's just like project files or like or renders, right? So like if you render something and just keep it smaller, you don't need to put a full res copy up there.
Exactly.
You could use 2 gigabytes and just rotate your stuff on and off.
So how did that work with your feature? I'm assuming that was bigger than 2 gigs.
Well,
right?
we upped it. We went to the like $50 a month plan, which is like 100 gigabytes or whatever, because we were uploading like scenes and then like, you know, multiple versions of scenes, and we didn't want to take them down in case we had to reference anything. So yeah, we just paid. It's, you know, we started at 25 a month, which was 50 gigabytes, and then we got there and we're like, we better up it. So I mean, it's not that expensive when it's that big a project that you have that much money in. So, I mean, you know, and if you're editing it for, I don't know, 4 or 5, even 6 months, what, $300, you know?
Exactly. And
then just get rid of it. Go back.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's worth it. It's pretty cool.
Nice. So I want to read this, this question that was sent to me prior to this, to us going live. This is on Instagram, Mr. Malte. Hope I said that right. Says he's excited about this specific podcast. I don't know if he's listening to live or he was able to catch it, but he said he mostly works. I'm going to read it the way he wrote it. I mostly work on a 1 terabyte SSD, cutting client videos, which is quite fast, and backing up on simple external hard drives on 2 different locations. It's quite slow. Sadly, the Samsung SSD corrupts 1 time a year. Wow. Lucky me, I've got backups, but this costs me always a full day of work. Hope to find a better solution soon and get some ideas on your podcast. He also added, I'm a little bit afraid of RAID systems. What happens when in 8 years, your RAID hardware controller crashes and this item is out of stock? So
that's always the to answer the RAID thing. That's always when you're first purchasing a RAID, that's the kind of like the conundrum. Like, do you go hardware RAID or do you go software RAID? Hardware RAID, if you got the most up-to-date hardware RAID, you got the most, you know, it could give you great speeds.
Yeah, I went software.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the issue. If that hardware card fails, and, you could have a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a PC either, so like, what was I gonna? I wasn't gonna try to install something to my iMac, so it was like it was almost a non-issue. It's like that's my choice.
I have yet to get.
There's this difference.
I have yet to get RAID systems yet, and I've definitely obviously been back and forth on that. I've just done what's easiest for me at this moment. But explain to me the difference between hardware and software RAIDs.
For you.
Sorry. Any one of you can go ahead and start.
So the RAID controller is basically what controls how everything is partitioned out and how everything gets copied over and duplicated and mirrored.
Sure.
So you either have that through software, it's plain and simple, and you could update that software and it keeps running it, or there's a dedicated within the system itself. There's a dedicated hardware RAID, like a dedicated chip that does the same thing.
Or you put one in your computer.
Right? So when you have it hooked up, it does it for you. But basically, you get the most up to date hardware RAID card, and you could get some serious speeds out of the system. But there's the fallback to the software is that it is a little bit slower than the hardware RAID. So
at the time.
In general,
I think because I think one of you, I think it was you, Anthony, that had insinuated that over time that stuff slows down, because when you get into hardware stuff, at the time it's fast as heck. Like right now, you got your USB-C, which is really fast, but 5-6 years from now, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah. I mean, it'll still be the same speed, but just technology is
surpassed. USB 2.0 at one point was like the industry standard, but it's probably still the same speed. It's just the speeds have gone up. So
so it'll get caught behind, for sure. And I would imagine that software based would be able to update and keep up with that. I haven't experienced that yet. I haven't had it that long, so it's been working fine so far. I guess I'll find out.
What do you guys think about these? I think it was Western Digital that Philip Bloom did a huge review on. This thing looked amazing.
The system they have.
Yeah, it's like a huge RAID that is actually cloud-based. So the actual server where it's kept is in his physical RAID, but he can access those files online.
Yeah, it's a network attached system.
I
actually have that particular system at where I work, University of Miami.
Oh, lucky you.
But here's the thing, right? I can't access it because has its own server. So if I try to plug that the Ethernet port into that drive to my computer to run it, to set up the cloud stuff and everything, it is unusable. It just kind of cancels out whatever server is trying to work on it. So it's like I want to use it, but I can't. That's probably a terrible story to tell, but I have that drive.
It's a sad story. It's a sad story.
Just want to bum you guys out a little bit.
It's like, guys, I'm getting teased. I just want to let you know.
So without that, put that limitation aside now. Like, how is it supposed to work?
So it's like a home server pretty much, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
That thing I saw, it looks really, really nice.
Yeah, but it's also, I think it comes with an app, and you can see what's on it, and you can.
But I mean, like
certain functions within the app. But
like that's nice. You could pull a file if you need it, but I mean, you can't work off of that.
No.
I mean,
not remotely.
Not for video. Like, I mean, if you're a photographer or something, that could be great.
I think you can still work on it, like if you're directly attached, because it's still
if you're
like
physically connected to it, sure. But if you're traveling,
I mean, like,
that's how you got
remotely.
it.
No way.
Yeah,
I have a question.
I didn't think that was the case either.
Oh.
In a RAID system, so for this particular system, it's a 4-bay. Can you mix a 72 RPM drive with a 54 in any particular RAID system? Is that smart? Is that something you want to do? Because right now I have 4 red Western Digital, I think 54 RPM drives in there. Right. But if I wanted to put in 2 faster drives, can that work?
I think from my understanding, they all have to be the same.
Okay. Yeah.
It's from just my general understanding. I may be wrong, but
I would assume so.
Yeah,
I would assume so. Yeah, I don't see how they can all the different
and they all
speeds
have
could work together.
Every system, like I guess depending on the RAID card, or or just the system you have in general, may have a cap on how much storage you can put. So you may not, if you have a system that can maybe only take like single 8 terabyte hard drives, that's you can't, if there's a 16 terabyte hard drive that comes out, you won't be able to just like swap one and have more space. I think they're all like capped at a certain way.
Anthony, how big is your RAID system?
It's 20 terabytes.
20 terabytes. How long have you been working off of that?
Over a year now. I'm probably pushing about a year and a half.
Oh yeah? And how far along are you with that capacity?
Size-wise? So I mean, I only have, because it's RAID 5, even though it's a 20 terabyte RAID, I only have 15 terabytes of usable space.
Right.
I actually have 313 gigabytes left right now. I've never had to clear anything. I have 2017 and 2018 projects on here. So at some point I'm going to have to move stuff, but I have it all backed up like 3 times already. So it's right now. I also, now that it's 2018, have a 2017 drive sitting here. So I technically could wipe 2017, no problem. Right. So I'm just waiting till I have to.
And you don't delete any of the old projects or anything like that, right?
No, as I go, no, I haven't deleted anything yet.
Do any of you guys do that?
No,
like, even after you're done with the client's project and they've paid you, everything's done.
No, never.
No.
And that's one of the reasons I tell them I'm charging you. I'm like, look, I don't care what your preference is. I will never delete this. So if anything happens, like, you can always come back to me. It's almost like a guarantee, like, yeah, I guarantee it. So that's,
and you can hold their project hostage.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you guys ever utilize cloud-based storage?
I wanted to get into that. I thought that was
like Dropbox.
Interesting.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
Google has unlimited, which I actually have from my team. Google.
Well,
team.
Ariel stores everything on Dropbox.
Yeah, I have. I'm reluctant to have a good friend, actually a pastor and mentor of mine from my church. He's actually owns an IT company, where he has partnership accounts with businesses and companies like Dropbox. So he was able to give me that, and he actually gave it to me. He just says, "Hey, I have a license. Do you want it?" I'm like, "All right, cool." And he's like, "It's unlimited space." I'm like, "What?" Awesome. So, but he can see all my stuff, and he tells me, "Man, I take up the most space," because you can see who's like, out of all those licenses, who takes up what. And I think I have like almost a little bit more than 20 terabytes stored in the drive, and I've been using that for like, I think it's been like 4 years now, 4 or 5 years. But that's not me, like, that's not, well, yeah, I do send like footage whenever a client hires me to just only shoot footage. I just send them a Dropbox link. I just leave that bad boy uploading unless they specifically ask for a drive, I have to send them that. But I always offer, hey, I can send you a Dropbox link. But I know that like Google Drive and what's another service that does the same thing?
Box.
Box does that.
There's Amazon. Box is an actual one.
Yeah.
I have a buddy.
Go ahead.
No, just saying. I have a buddy that works at Dropbox. I gotta try to squeeze something out of him. Like, give me more space.
Tell him to give you an unlimited license, man. That'd be awesome.
I know.
I still don't think. I mean, even if I had an unlimited license, I don't think I'd put all of my footage up there. It just seems like it would take forever. I mean,
at this point, of course not.
Huh.
That'll take months, I think.
Oh, you don't do that? Okay, you're like.
Oh no, I don't put everything on there.
Just when they need it. Okay.
Just when they need it, which, I mean, it's literally like, for example, I just shot a wedding and they wanted all the footage that I had, and I just sent them all that stuff. And that's what I usually do for things like that.
I don't have the unlimited though, so I would have to do it and then eventually take it down once I run out of space.
You would have to be conservative with that.
One thing I do too, as far as backing up stuff, if I'm on the road, so I've told you I like to back things up many, many times, but like if I'm on the road, I have it just on my drive. I like to. I've always, at first I started just putting it on my laptop's hard drive as well. But I'm like, well, what if I lose my bag? Like, then my laptop and my drive's gone. Like, that does me no good. So I started putting, when I'm on the road, I'll put project files on Dropbox for myself, just as backup. And then like, I'll eventually delete those because I'll have it backed up everywhere. But that's just like a safety way of backing up.
Yeah, everybody always talks about the footage, but like project files, like after you've done so much work, without that, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
Trust me,
Like
man.
if you just lose the project file,
You don't want to be starting over.
oh my gosh, that would.
That's the worst.
On that note about the portable drive, Brandon asked the question, like, how do we all feel about editing off the drive? How much does that really slow editing? I mean, you brought up the being on the drive and having a portable drive, something you got to edit on the road.
Yeah.
And yeah, usually you edit on a smaller drive, right? On a portable drive.
Always.
So, I mean, I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Editing off a normal drive.
I always do.
Yeah.
I'm never working off my computer. I don't want, I mean, to put the footage on there, take it off. Like, that's a whole nother, I already do this enough.
Everything stays external. Yeah.
And I'm just so mobile. I think we all travel enough where it's just like, I don't have time to, I can't mess with that. Like, it's got to be, I got to be able to grab it and go if I need to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I feel the same way. It's like, go ahead.
For that reason, like I like to have SSDs for sure, portable SSDs, and to get the fastest speed possible when you're doing stuff like that. But unfortunately now, man, it seems like my laptop is taking a toll with all this editing stuff. I think I'm gonna have to start looking into upgrading my laptop.
What do you use right now?
Man, so I have a I have a MacBook Pro, but you know, it's a quad core i7, 2.9 or 3.9 gigahertz. I can't remember right now. It has a 16 gigs of RAM. It's a great laptop, I thought, but so Premiere just keeps crashing on me, man. And I don't know. After a little while of just scrubbing through just the footage and maybe putting a few edits on there, Premiere will just start crashing.
Jeez.
I really don't know what else to do.
Yeah, it could be a graphics card thing too. I mean,
yeah.
So when I bought my laptop, so I bought that laptop like I want to say like 2.5 to 3 years ago, and I bought it fully decked out. Like, you know how you go on like literally from the Apple website, you are able to go and customize all the features that you get with it. I literally maxed all that out. Like, I couldn't go any higher. And as a matter of fact, they actually called me and asked me if this was for business, and I said yes. They said, okay, so we'll upgrade your processor to an even higher one that they don't even have online, that option to do. And that was great for the same price. So I got that. So it was fully loaded when I picked it up almost 3 years ago, I think. But for some reason, it's now basically starting to seem like it's obsolete. Like I really like, I think about editing there, and I already in my head, I'm like, it can't happen on my laptop. You know, and I used to edit 6K dragon footage on there, easily, no problem. So,
Brandon,
well, you've been using Final Cut Pro lately, haven't you?
By force. Don't. Josh is trying to. Don't
even say that.
Josh is trying to sneak that into my life. Using Final Cut, and Anthony, you can I guess chime in on this as well. It's made me appreciate Premiere more.
I can't stand it.
I can't, man. I just can't. Like, I want to color. I want to do all the nice tweaks that I love to do all the time, but I don't have that flexibility to do that.
I don't like anything about it. Nothing.
Man, to be honest,
doesn't even go easy on it. Like,
no,
I just hit your face.
When we were testing out the ProRes footage, and in the last podcast, I was like, okay, how do I pull up the color wheels? I couldn't find the menu. I was like, it's so easy.
The simplest thing.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of stuff is buried. A lot of stuff is buried in his program.
Final Cut is perfect. I think Final Cut is perfect for those that are just
perfect.
That are just doing YouTube videos. You know?
I don't even like the export. It's like share, right? It's share.
But speaking of the export,
it's like the same icon that you have on your phone.
I do have to say, speaking about the sharing export feature, when you do hit export on that software, it blazes through the stuff.
I know. I've seen tests. It does blaze through, especially if it's like ProRes and stuff. But
it's so easy.
I'll go eat something, man. I'll go eat something while my thing's exporting.
Yeah, I can do that. Time is everything.
I need a break anyways, by the time I hit export.
I don't know, man. So yeah, I mean, PC is continuing to look attractive, but I am like so in love with the Mac operating system. I'm like so attached to it already. I enjoy like even having iMessage. Like I use iMessage on my computer all the time. That's a big deal for me. So I don't know, man. Am I willing to pay more? I think so, man. I think so. It's just so much easier, I think. But I think if I was to sit down on a PC, if I was to physically experience it myself, right? What's it like editing on a PC? Compare the prices and all that stuff, and see how good it is. I think I would probably be convinced. So I can be convinced to go to PC.
I think when we sorry, dudes. Go ahead. Go ahead, Fernando.
Go for it. No.
I was just gonna say when we were talking to Ryan Connolly, like he said, he uses PC pretty much for edits, you know, and then like he has his laptop, which I could see that working. It's like, all right, if I could just bang stuff out on my PC for any edits and color or anything, and then I could do all that other personal stuff over there. I could dig that, I think, but that whole switch is just still scary to me.
That was always my idea. If I told myself the same thing, like if I ever go to PC, it is just a dedicated editing computer. That's it.
However, Anthony, you remember what we were trying out for the layout of the podcast for like the visual. Apparently that could be done through PC. So via the OBS software.
Man, I know, that's really cool too.
I know that is.
So we're gonna get PCs just to have a nice graphic for our podcast.
So essentially, what I was
grab $4,000 real quick, and
essentially what I was playing with was basically the layout. Like right now, we're using Google Hangouts to do this, which is awesome. It's great, but basically, I wanted to kind of have a nicer layout where we're in a box and it looks nice, and I was gonna do like a streaming software where I can send a signal to YouTube. And cool. Unfortunately I couldn't do it just because I'm using Mac, and the Mac version of OBS, which is a software that I was using for the stream, doesn't allow for the Skype to come in with the audio and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just a Mac version of it. The PC version will work perfectly.
Did you find out that it was because it was Mac based? That's why it wasn't working?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that.
Actually, I think it's not the OBS. It's the other one. There's one that is proprietary to PC. Not proprietary, but it only works for PC. And that software is what allows for the picture-in-picture with live video chat, and you can easily integrate it. But it's only available for PC.
Do we both need to get PCs or just you?
I think it's just me.
All right, perfect. Let's do it.
That's the case then. Oh man. So I don't know. Did we cover everything with regards to like hard drives, or at least everything that we could stretch on? I think we have, man. I think we have. I think this was a great episode. This was a lot of fun with all of us. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, man. Maybe we can keep this up maybe once a month or so. We'll all get together and talk about new things. Mr. Gomez has pulled the trigger and picked up a GH5S. Congrats. We're gonna give him a golf clap real quick. And Mr. Serratelli,
I just did it right now.
Stop.
No, I'm kidding.
You're about to make me go crazy live. But no, that would have been fun. So congrats, bud. And so yeah, this was a great episode. For those of you that joined us live, thank you very much. We love having you guys live on the show. We're going to continue to try and do stuff like this more often, and just bringing it to you live, hopefully, so you guys can ask your questions and basically chime in on the conversation. So thank you everyone that joined in. Don't forget, we are on YouTube, iFilmmaker on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. No, I'm sorry, not Twitter. All that stuff. You can follow me at arielmartinez.tv on Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff. Jersey Filmmaker over on YouTube and Instagram. You got Joshua Martin Studios over on YouTube as well and Instagram, and Fernando Gomez.
Yeah, that one guy.
You got Fernando Gomez over on Instagram. Check that out. Thank you guys for joining us, and you guys for joining in on this episode of the iFilmmaker podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.
Later.
Bye.